Okay, today we're coming back to something that we've talked about in the past, but I think it's so important that we're going to keep hitting this periodically as we go along. Worship leader pastor relationships. 4 different worship leaders today talking about how crucial that is and what it means and how to make it really effective. Take a look.
As worship leaders, worship directors, worship pastors, we're sort of on the front line, right? Because everybody's got an opinion about music. And if people don't like the preaching, they'll typically go to another church. If they like the preaching but maybe have issue with some of the worship, they'll typically stay and try to change it. And so, so it's critical that your pastor have your back, that he understands that you're on the front line when it comes to criticism, and that he doesn't allow people to circumvent the process, so to speak. Meaning, if somebody has a problem, they need to come to me first. If they're not able to work it out with me, grab another person, preferably involved in the ministry. And we have elders that are involved in our worship ministry. Maybe grab an elder that's also in the worship ministry. And then if that doesn't work, then maybe bring in the senior pastor. But what I find is that people will circumvent that and go straight to the senior pastor, and that just creates all these problems because really the senior pastor is just hearing one side of it. And so it's so important that you have a relationship with your senior pastor, that you're meeting with them regularly. That's actually kind of a non-negotiable for me when I go to work for a church, is that I need to be able to meet regularly with the senior pastor, even if we're not talking business, even if we're just having lunch together and relationally growing. I find that if a lot of time goes by that I don't meet with the senior pastor, my brain starts to do funny things as far as I maybe get paranoid that he's not happy with something that I'm doing, or, and maybe vice versa. Maybe he's concerned of things that I'm doing. So I find that to be a critical element.
Every pastor that I've ever been under, I have had so much high respect for, honor and admiration, even to this day. Even if I didn't agree with everything they've ever done, being called a man of God is a high position, and they stand before God in that position. They put their pants on the same way we do, but they still stand before God in a high position. And so that relationship has to be held in reverence and in high regard. You have got to make sure that you're submissive, even when you don't agree with it or don't like it or don't want it. You have got to be submissive. That's the word of God, number one. And you've got to do it with a joyful heart, with a loving heart. You have got to be unified, because if there's not unity in the leaders of the church, there is not going to be unity in a congregation.
It's extremely important. If you're not on the same page with your pastor, I just can't imagine doing ministry if you were not on the same page. Now, my relationship with my pastor, I've been there for 15 years. My relationship with my pastor is so solid, we don't go out and go to lunch and hash things out much. We're in a meeting together a couple times a week, and we're able to talk, but we're so good. In other words, I'm so solid that I know he's got my back. I know that he knows I've got his back. We're on the same page. That it's strange that I don't really miss that. Sure, he's very busy. Our pastor right now, we normally have a senior pastor and then an associate pastor. Right now we only have a senior pastor. And so he's very, very busy, and I try to be, mindful of his time, try not to waste too much of his time. But I know that I could, if at any time, I could say, hey, let's go to lunch, and he would do it. And that's kind of cool that I know I could, but I don't have to. But if I ever need to, I can. So I think it's very important to be on the same page.
I have gotten this question so much. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's 11 and a half. if you survey pastors across America right now today, much less 20 years ago, and you say, listen, I want you to be honest, and we're not going to publish your name on this. It's anonymous. What is the department in your church that you've had the most problems with? Is it children's church? No. Is it Sunday school? No. And you know the answer to this. It's the music department. Because at the music department and the worship team, we're a bunch of flakes and quakes. And if you live in California, what cereal box do you shake us out of? And they're moody and they're melancholy. And so your relationship with your pastor is so important, because that is where the enemy is going to try to get in and put thorns in. He's going to try to disrupt that. That relationship with safety and security is so important, Tom. And work at it. I'm not saying just think it's going to happen. You have to work. And I tell you what, when you talk to married couples, listen, I've met some married couples, man, they were so in love, they get engaged and they're messed up, and they don't even know the rest of the world's alive. But then 3 or 4 or 5 years later, after they get married, they're at a marriage seminar, because they stop communicating, and here's my word, communicate, and almost a little bit get on his nerves that you over-communicate, then you're probably good to go. And this is the wisdom of older people, right, Tom? You and I know this. And make sure, and occasionally just say, how's it going? Give me a rating on it. Ask him once a month, how's it going? Don't have him come to you do it, but say, hey, I'm just going to give you a phone call. Let's go to Starbucks or whatever. Have lunch together, and he's going to tell you straight up. And it's not public, and then you can relate that to your worship team at a high level. Communication and honesty. The American church is super poor at both those, and it doesn't serve us well. So communicate and be honest about stuff, and then just check in with them and, be friends. It'd be better to be friends than not to be in that situation.
Okay, you just heard it over and over from lots of different sources, from people from different backgrounds, how absolutely vital that is. I want to challenge you today, if your relationship with your pastor could use any bit of improvement, I want you to intentionally make that a priority in your life. Do whatever you can to help cultivate, to help bolster that relationship, because in the long run, it's going to serve you and your congregation well if you do that.
Brought to you by MyWorshipLeadingCoach.com.
Helping you to be more fully equipped as a worship leader.